All right guys, so we are fresh out of the shower now. I always just feel so good anytime I wash my hair. Like, it just feels like ah. So after I washed my hair and everything, I went downstairs and got me some tea. This is an iced tea. I do like hot tea, but I really love iced teas as well, especially since I just got out of a hot shower. I didn't want to put anything hot inside my body. So I got this acai green tea and it tastes really good. It's a raspberry acai green tea actually, and it is very refreshing. So while I was in the shower, you guys, I was thinking about what I wanted to come on here and talk to you about, because I originally had an idea of how, like, what I wanted to say, and then that kind of changed. I would really love for you guys to get to know me, and what better way for that to happen than to just kind of tell you about me, like how I became who I am today. So I think we're gonna do like a story time type thing with you guys and just go through the past and some of the nitty-gritty type stuff, because I'm not gonna lie, this journey was something different, and I did not in any way, shape, or form ever think that it would get, or I would be here in this place. So before we get started, we gotta make sure we got our locking gel, we got our clips, we got our rubber band thingies, and a comb. We're gonna get started in the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of separate the back of my hair. I don't think I'm gonna show the back too much, to be honest with you guys, this back row here. I will talk to you guys and then speed up once I get towards the middle and show you like a closer of how I actually retwist my hair. But if you wanna see that, you can go back and watch some of my earlier videos when I first started retwisting and was fumbling back there. But the parting is not the best. I don't really focus on the parting too much back there. I just focus on making sure that the hairs are going back into the same lock that they came out of. But I'll twist one to the back and just show you real quick what we're working with. But like I said, no, my parting is not, it's not good back there. All right, so right now I'm just sectioning off the hair so I can make sure I have just the first row and not multiple rows, so that I don't accidentally pull the locks together, because I have merged some locks in the past. Okay, I think I got just one row going right now, so I'm gonna turn around and show you that, and then we'll talk about our day. But here's the back row. Child, we got all that new growth. I think I might have to change things up. Okay, so anyways, we'll talk right here then. This is fine, because I need to, let me move this, my vision board. Move that out of the way so I can see in the mirror here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. A little bit about me, you guys. I'm originally from South Florida, born and raised, still live here to this day. And my parents, they were together for a while. My mom got married really young, actually. I want to say she was like 20 when she got married. And she actually got married on her 20th birthday, or the day before her 20th birthday or something like that. But that's when she got married to my dad. And then she had me a few years later. I think she was like 25 or 26 by the time she had me. And then she also ended up having 2 more kids, and I have 2 sisters. My sister Kendall was born 4 years later, and my sister Kim was born 6 years later. And I also have a half brother on my dad's side, but we didn't really grow up together, so I didn't really get to know him in that way. I just knew him as, oh, my dad's son, which is kind of weird, but we didn't grow up together. So anyways, back to the story. Right around the time my youngest sister was born, my parents ended up getting divorced. And I was about 8 at that time. My youngest sister was 1. So she doesn't even really remember what it was like living in the house with both parents. But anywho, so around 8 years old, my mom became a single parent. And to be honest, I do remember life growing up with my parents together. It was really nice. I always remember having lots of toys on Christmas and birthday parties, but all that stuff kind of came to a halt when they divorced. My mom ended up leaving out of the house that they lived in, and we moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. And We pretty much stayed in that 2-bedroom apartment all the way up until I was like 16 years old. We went to different apartments, but they were always 2 bedrooms. So from the age of 8 all the way up to about 16, I shared a room with my 2 younger sisters. And it was okay, I didn't mind it. It was all I really knew for the most part, because like I said, I was young when my parents divorced. So right around the time when I turned about 15, right before we moved into the house, because we moved into the house once I was like 16. But right around the time I was like 15 years old, that's when I met my husband. Well, my husband now, he was my friend then. I met him on MySpace. And he was pretty decent. He was cool, but he wasn't somebody I was interested in at that time. He was just somebody to talk to as a friend. He was always very easy to talk to, and we just pretty much stayed as friends for a few years after that. But I was very ambitious in school growing up, so I really didn't have I don't want to say I didn't have time to talk to him, but I was always into something. Like, I was in sports, I was on the basketball team at my high school, I was involved in extracurricular activities, I was the president of the National Honor Society. I was really good in school. I made really good grades, and that always made my mom so happy. So I made sure to, you know, always get the good grades, mainly for me, because I wanted to have the good grades, because my mom told me that with a good education you can provide the life you want to live. So I really took that to heart growing up in school, and really worked really hard in school as well. But anyways, so my senior year rolls around and I ended up getting a scholarship, and during that time, my friend ended up becoming my boyfriend during the summer right before my senior year, and we started hanging out a lot and, you know, chilling. And a few months after I got that scholarship and it was almost time to, like, you know, apply to the colleges, I found out I was pregnant, y'all. And that was a big thing for me when I found out I was pregnant, because I knew that my mom was going to be disappointed in me, because she had such high hopes for me to live a better life than the one we were currently living. You know, she saw a lot of hopes and dreams for me that just went down the drain when that happened. And it happened literally towards the end of my senior year. So it was like, oh, I thought I made it to the finish line, and then skirt, okay, now I can't possibly go to school anymore. And I'm not gonna lie, that thought came to my head, like, you know, do I want to pursue this? Do I want to continue with this? Like, you know, I'm gonna have to give up my whole life. And to be honest, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, his mother really gave me the encouragement to go through with the pregnancy. She was telling me her own personal story about how at the age of 19, she had 3 kids. So she was like, at the time I was 18 when I was pregnant. I was 19 when my son was born. But she was like, when I was your age, I had 3 kids. So if I could do it, you could do it. And she actually did really good for herself. She ended up becoming like a registered nurse. She was like doing her own thing. She always had hopes of running her own business and stuff. But she did end up passing away a few years ago. And that was really sad. But okay, we're gonna get back to the story. We'll talk about that story another day. But anyway, so she was the real reason that I just felt like I could do this and I can have this baby, and, you know, we can maybe make this work. As far as like my mom though, she was not having it. She was not having it. She was so upset. And I ended up getting a different place to stay. Let's put it like that. I ended up moving out involuntarily right after graduation. So I moved out, and Freddie and I, which is my husband now, who's my boyfriend then, we got a 2-bedroom apartment. Well, not even a 2-bedroom, y'all. We had a 1-bedroom apartment, and it was what my mom called a shack. It was so small, y'all. My apartment back then was literally the size of my bedroom and my bathroom that I have right now. Like, my master bedroom and bathroom, like this part of the house that I'm in, was the entire apartment that we lived in. It was so small. But we were so happy. Like, I didn't even care. I was just like, I'm on my own. I'm doing my own thing. You know, I'm becoming a woman. So I thought. But because I moved out so young and I really wasn't exposed to a lot of adult things like paying bills, I made a lot of mistakes. I'm so thankful that my husband was the patient man that he is, because I had a lot of growing up to do. And y'all, it was real. I remember, I'll tell you this one story, for example. So we when it came time to paying bills and stuff, like, to be honest, I was like, oh, well, when do we pay those? Because I never had any bills. I had a job in high school, but I wasn't responsible for paying any bills other than my car insurance, which came out automatically. So I didn't know, like, the consequences of if I forgot, so to speak. So anyway, so when we first moved in together, my husband, who's my child's father, he had a career already. He was already into his career. He was a little bit more established in life than I was. He actually graduated like 2 years before me. We're 2 years apart. Both our birthdays are in October and they're 2 weeks away. But he was more established in life than me. He already had his career. He actually moved into his apartment because of me, because he wasn't going to do that at the time, because he was staying in a small town with his grandmother, and you know, she didn't mind him staying there because he was helping her with bills and stuff. But when I told him about my situation between me and my mom and what was happening, he was like, no, come on, we're gonna go get a place together, and you know, I got you. And I'm like, okay. So anywho, basically he was just more responsible than I was. So he pretty much paid most of the bills. I didn't really have a job. I worked like part-time at Dunkin' Donuts, making pennies to $1. Like, literally, I couldn't even pay a bill with that paycheck. But he was like, okay, you know, you gotta do something. So he told me to pay the light bill, and that was gonna be like my bill to pay. Well, my friends were gonna be going out that same week that the bill was due. One of my friends had invited me out and was like, oh, hey girl, you know, we finna go hit up such and such, you wanna come? And I was like, oh yeah, I wanna go, but you know, I ain't got nothing to wear, I ain't do my hair. And she was like, oh, come on, let's go shopping, we'll go get some stuff. So we went to the hair store. Back then I used to wear like sew-ins and quick weaves, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos to learn how to do them myself. So anyways, we go to the hair store, and for some reason nothing was on sale. Not a good sale. It was like no buy one get ones, none of that. Everything was just so expensive, but I really wanted to go. So I went, I bought the hair, and then when I got back home, Freddie was asking me if I had paid the bill before I got ready to, you know, get dressed and get ready to leave. And I was looking at him like, what bill? And he was like, the light bill. And I was just like, oh, well, you know, I just spent the money to go get my hair done, so I ain't gonna be able to pay it right now. I can pay it next month. Y'all, he looked at me so crazy. He was like, you spent the light bill money to get your hair done? And I didn't think there was nothing wrong with that. I was like, my hair need to be done. What you mean? We can pay that bill later. It'll be okay. And at that moment, he knew that I wasn't to be trusted with the bills. And even still to this day, like, I'm not like that anymore, but he still pretty much, like, you know, runs the finances, and I'm more so overseas. He makes sure they get paid, and I monitor them, kind of like an analyst, like what my job is now, and just kind of overview the account, see how much we're spending, where we're spending it at, and what areas and what sections and stuff. And then I manipulate the account, like, hey, we need to stop spending so much here, maybe move it here. But he mainly pays the bills because he's so scarred from that one time I didn't pay the light bill. But anyways, so that was some of the stuff that we, you know, went through in the earlier stages. And then after my son was born, like maybe like a couple of, was it a couple of months before he was born? Actually, no, it was a couple of months after we moved in that my boyfriend at the time proposed to me. And he said he did it because, you know, he personally, he said he was ready, and, you know, he always said that if he had a kid by somebody, you know, he was just gonna try and stay with that one person because he didn't want to have kids all over the place. And just a, you know, a little bit about him, like his dad has like multiple kids, like he's like one of a bunch, and he didn't want to be like that. Like he didn't want to have his seeds spread out like that. So for him, once he found out I was pregnant, he was just like, okay, this is the one. But for me, it wasn't like that. For me, I felt that just because we had a baby doesn't mean we need to get married, because you should get married because you love that person. That's how I felt. I felt like, you know, you should want to be with that person. Don't marry that person just because you had a baby with them and hope that that baby will save your marriage or whatever. Because I guess I viewed my parents and was like, you know, my mom got married first and didn't even have a baby, and look what happened with her and my dad. So maybe we should wait and make sure we want to do this. Well, little did he know, I made him wait for a very long time. We were engaged for almost 2 years, you guys, before we actually got married. And I'm actually glad that we waited, because we went through a lot during that time frame. A whole lot. Financially, we went through a lot. Work-wise, we went through a lot. I actually ended up, so I left the Dunkin' Donuts job. I got hired at McDonald's, which was another nobody, nothing type money, because I wasn't even working full-time at one point. So I wasn't really making much money there. I mean, full-time, you can make decent money at McDonald's, but part-time, no. Anyways, but I ended up moving up, got a manager position, and then left there, worked, got a job at Budget Rental Car. Meanwhile, my husband was still in my fiance at the time, was still in his career. He had the same career the entire time. And I was just job hopping and trying to find a job that would work with my schedule so that I could go to school and go to work. My son was about almost 1 at that time. So it was really hard, and daycare was expensive, and I was still trying to, you know, go to community college so that I could get a good job, so that I could be, you know, more supportive financially. But I ended up dropping out. Like, I didn't finish college at that time, not even community college. It was just too much trying to work and take care of a baby and all that. It was just too much for me. At that time, I was 19 going on 20. So anyways, I ended up jumping from job to job, and then I found one job that I thought was like pretty decent. I got hired at Budget Rental Car. And I thought that job was really good, because even though it was commission based, you had an opportunity to make a lot of money in rental sales. Like, to me, it was considered a lot of money compared to my part-time half of jobs that I had. So I was like really excited about this job, and Freddie at the time was really interested in, you know, purchasing a home. So when I got the job and everything, I was like, oh, this will work, you know, we can do it and all this other stuff. So we ended up getting our first home. I had my job together, everything was good, you know, we was good. We was like, kind of felt like we were moving up in the world. And then I ended up getting fired. So that's another story time about why I got fired, because it was the stupidest thing. I got fired on my day off, y'all. Like, real life, got fired on my day off. Long story short about that, I actually put in time to have off for the holidays, and they had like some position changes and different managers coming in, and somehow the information wasn't connected that I was off that day or whatever. So they had tried to call me to come in, and I had already made arrangements and told them that I'm not able to come in because, you know, I took off, blah, blah, blah. And they basically told me if I don't come in, then, you know, I'm gonna have to suffer the consequences. And I was just like, okay. I didn't know the consequences was gonna be me getting fired. I was like, but that's what happened. So anywho, back to the story. And Freddie and I, you know, we got this house. He was like really upset that, you know, I lost my job in that way. He was like, you know, he was always very, very responsible, very mature, always, even when we was kids, even growing up. He was just always that person in my life that I could talk to, who would always give good advice, who always had a level head. And I'm so thankful for that, because like I said, I didn't think I would be where I was right now back then the way I thought. But, you know, things happen for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Things change, circumstances change. And so anywho, I ended up looking for other jobs, and I ended up getting hired at the bank, which was a really good job. I got to work with a lot more older people. And I will say this, in life, depending on the people you're hanging around with, that can really determine the type of mindset and place that you're in. If you find yourself feeling very low and very negative, or acting in a different way than what you normally would be, I would suggest looking at the people that you keep around you. Look at the company that you keep, because sometimes when you remove yourself from certain environments and put yourself in a different environment, you really change, either positively or negatively. For me, making that change and that switch into a different environment with, for me, older people, really kind of gave me the basis as to what I do and why I do it. So I kind of matured a lot more when I got hired there and was working with these ladies, and just being around, like, you know, like grown women pretty much. And so that's when I started to notice a change in myself and the things that I cared about and the things that I wanted to attain in life. You know, at this point, you know, I finally got my job at a bank. It's a decent job. You know, I got my fiance, we had our son, we bought our first house. I want to say we got that house, we bought that house in 2011, our very first house. And I was 20 turning 21 at the time. My husband was 22 turning 23, I think. Sorry, that was my kids, y'all. Yo, I'm doing way more talking than I'm getting with this retwist. We're gonna have to hurry this up. Anywho, so back to the story. So where was I at? When we bought our first house in 2011, pretty much. You know, at that point, that's when I had felt like a sense of maturity about myself. And, you know, where I worked at, I was secure in my position, and I was starting to mature more so in life. And I didn't think that trying to hang out and go partying with my friends was so important that I couldn't pay a light bill anymore. I was like, so I really matured and grew during that time. And, you know, at that point, that's when I felt like I was ready to go ahead and get married, because I felt like finally becoming who I needed to be in order to be his wife. Like, to me, he was always such a great person, and I always felt like at times that maybe I was holding him back almost, because I wasn't up there with him. Like, I didn't have a decent job, I didn't have my education, I didn't have the responsibility and maturity like he did. But that all came with growth and understanding. And to be honest, his story is a whole... When you hear what he went through, then you'll see why he is the way that he is. That man lived his entire life by the age of 15. So he was grown by the time I met him. Even though he was like 19, 20, he was mentally like 35, 40. So sometimes your life experiences can age you. And he has a lot of wisdom due to the stuff that, you know, he experienced growing up. But like I said, that's a whole nother story. So, anywho, I finally got to the point where I felt like, you know, I was who I needed to be in order to be in this relationship. And I'm so thankful that he was patient enough to wait for me to get to that point. Because honestly, guys, if I had got married before, like if I had got married like right when he asked me to, we probably would have been divorced. Because sometimes when you get married, people put, I don't want to say put expectations, but they view you different. Like, you decide you wanted to commit to this person, so it's like a whole new level of expectations came on you. Like, you my wife now, like you not my girlfriend, you should be doing this or that or something, you know. At least that's how I felt. But I just felt like I wasn't up to par to be a wife yet at the time when he asked me, because I didn't even know myself. So after a whole 2 years of finances and job losses and me feeling insecure about myself, you know, I finally got to the point where I felt good about me. And we got married in 2000. When we got married? 2011? No, we got married in 2011. We bought our house in 2010. We bought our house in 2011 and we got married that same year. I'm sorry, it's been a while. I'm trying to think, what's the years and stuff? But yes, we got married in 2011, the same year that we bought our house. Because I think we bought our house like in the earlier part of that year, and we got married in October of 2011. And we didn't have like a huge wedding or anything like that. We just had like a small wedding with just immediate family members, and then we had a reception afterwards with family and friends. So it wasn't so expensive and stuff on us, because at that time we had much bigger plans than just the house that we were living in. That house was nice, but we had much bigger dreams, and we were able to accomplish those dreams in 2014. We built our own home, and that's how I got where I am today. What is it now? Almost 9 years later? A lot can change. Anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and speed up and get this retwist done, because y'all, I feel like I'm all over the place. I probably missed spots in the back and whatnot. But before I go ahead and get to the speed through, I really just want to say to you guys that for me, and the moral of this story is that don't let people pressure you into doing things that you're not ready or comfortable with doing. I can't tell you how many people told me I was stupid for not getting married. And maybe I was to a certain extent, because I don't know that many men that would have waited that long for you to get your stuff together. Like, most women won't even wait that long for people to get their stuff together. So the fact that he did that showed me so much of how much that he really did love me. And the fact that I was able to find myself first and get to know who I was first and love me for me first is why I feel like our relationship is where it is today. I met him back when I was 15, and now I'm married to him and I'm almost 30. We've known each other for 15 years, and he watched me go from a 15-year-old girl to a grown almost 30-year-old woman. And stuff happens, stuff changes. So, you know, I don't know, I'm blessed, I'm thankful. And looking back on my life back then and to see the stuff that we went through, and I was very naive coming into this adult life. I wasn't prepared for the things that were ahead of me. And you know, now I feel like even though I didn't make the best decisions back then, I'm so thankful that I learned from those decisions, because there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. What's wrong is if you keep making the same mistakes and not learning from them. So as long as you're learning from your mistakes and you're moving forward in life, even if it's slowly, you're still progressing, and that's always the best. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this speed up so that we can get the rest of these locks done. And I hope you guys enjoyed that story time. Done now. I went ahead and took the clips out and blow dried it a little bit so it won't be too damp on the inside. I still need to let it dry a little bit more so it doesn't frizz out, but this is the finished and completed look. Give y'all a length check just a little bit. I was like, I'm gonna start doing that a little bit more so we can see. I want to say I'm probably at probably shoulder length now at this point, looking back at it. Yeah, like shoulder length. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me today and listening to my story, and I hope you guys got to learn a little bit more about me and my background. If you like this story or was interested in it, definitely stay tuned, because over on the vlog channel on Day to Day Davis, my husband has agreed to sit down with me and we're going to tell the story again, but in more detail, because there's a couple of things that I left out. Actually, there's a lot of things that I left out just because I didn't want this video to be too long. But we're gonna go more in depth, give a little bit more scenarios about some of the stuff that we went through in our marriage as well as just in life. So thank you again for hanging out with us. Don't forget to check out Day to Day Davis. Part 2 will be out next.